India's digital economy is going to be a $5 trillion one as per reports.
How do you think that it's going to help in the localization of AI applications?
The future is all going to be multimodal, which means image, video, text, everything combined in one query, and do you get that answer?
What are the conversations which you're having with governments in terms of data and data sovereignty?
Most of the organizations, they are saying that they are okay to give 54% base pay hike if somebody has AI skills.
So would you also agree that AI is not going to take your jobs, but AI is just a productivity aid? Hello and welcome to another episode of Tech Talks. Today we have with us Shalini Kapoor, Director for India and Chief Technologist for APJ Public Sector at AWS. Thank you so much for being here, Shalini. And most importantly, a big congratulations to you for hosting such a great event. We are at AWS Summit for India, and I am excited to talk to you about all the things which are happening in the public sector today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
So AWS is one of the prominent names when it comes to leading AI conversations for public sector. You have your operations in healthcare, space tech, agri-tech, everywhere. So can you please tell me a little more about the driving factor behind these operations and what makes you take up these steps every day?
Absolutely. So AWS is focused on customer obsession. We listen to our customers and we create solutions, services. 90% of our services are actually created based on customer requirements. We have customers in these spaces, which is healthcare, education, government services, because we want to drive impact into the India's digital economy. India's digital economy is going to be a $5 trillion one as per reports. And we want to be part of that journey by building solutions and having citizen impact services rolled out, which can help on national platforms, on state and local bodies and how they get impacted. The transformation which AI brings into these segments is going to touch every citizen in the country. As per EY report, it's going to bring almost $384 billion to the Indian's GDP itself. We want to be part of that journey because Gen AI at this moment has reached the tipping point because of the data which was available already, because of the compute which came and all the machine learning work that we have done over the last 20-30 years. So we are at the tipping point and we are more than excited to help the citizens in public sector.
Right. Thank you so much for that. Can you please take us through a little journey of the initiatives which you have planned and which are already executed? Like you had one with Cropin recently. So
Yes.
Anything more which you can share with us?
Yes, sure. So we have been building a good citizen-facing applications with customers. Our customers are DigiLocker. I'm sure you would have used it and a lot of citizens use them. And it is about a lot of records and 5 billion records which today exist in DigiLocker system. You can have your Aadhaar card, you can have your driving license, you can have your certification. In fact, the CBSE results were available on DigiLocker. So that's one application which touches a lot of citizens. You talked about Cropin, and we recently signed a memorandum of understanding with them on food security. And Cropin is about agriculture, about crop yield, and about how various crops can happen across the globe, not just in India. We also work with a lot of genomics customer, and Center of Molecular Biology is that we work on genomic analysis because we believe that the vertical industries and how cloud can bring better advantage and economies of scale and availability to industry data sets, that is a very powerful story. So across all the industries, which is health and agri, we also work with a lot of startups. So today morning in the event, I showed the demo of Eka.care, which is a demo of a patient who can upload his or her scan report and have information about the diseases or about the readings which are out of range. So across startups, across large enterprises and digital native enterprises, we work so that we can provide the citizen services.
Right. talking about the same, about how startups are leveraging AWS. Today morning, I heard Swiggy CTO saying how they have halved their operations with AWS. And yesterday, you had announced that Amazon Bedrock is now publicly available in India from Bombay region.
Yeah.
So, how do you think that it's going to help in the localization of AI applications, especially, say, the Indian language models? So, what is your take on that?
So, first of all, when you talk about the cost, I really want to say that, AWS is one company where the cost which anchors to a customer is always going down. It never goes up. So, it is 129 times we have decreased the prices of our services. And the reason we do it is because whatever efficiencies we are gaining in terms of innovation, in terms of new technologies, in terms of discovering and bettering our services with upgrades, we pass it on to the customers. So, that's the core principle on which our services are made. Now, Amazon Bedrock has been made. We all know that there are so many models which are coming into the market. Amazon Bedrock brings choice of models to the market. So it's not just one model, because there's not one model which will win the world or which will rule the world. There's going to be multiplicity of models because it depends on the use case which the customer has. So we bring models from Anthropic, from Mistral, from Meta, from Amazon's own Titan models, Cohere, and in fact in Amazon SageMaker Jumpstart, there are so many startups. You can create your own model and bring them into the Jumpstart. So we give a area or platform to startups and to various model creators to come and put their models. Now, also how it helps from an India perspective is that we have it available in BOM region, which means that the latency, it gives a very less latency. In AI, you really need faster times because there's virtual assistant and there's conversation happening. You want all the analysis and all the data retrievals and everything happening in the background, but you want a single answer. So the lower latency is what helps in the BOM region, and we have given this all the Indian customers the opportunity to take leverage of this capability.
And given that AWS is always focused on customers, everything what you're executing is depending on user feedback.
Yeah.
So what are the key trends that you're seeing? Like, what are the new things which customers are asking for?
A very good question. So customers are definitely asking for choice. They're saying, don't give me one model. They're also asking, give me model evaluation tools. Right? So I want to evaluate for my use case. I want to run this and run, say, a Llama model, say a Claude 3 model, say a Mistral model, and then do an evaluation and see which one shall I pick. So, the model evaluation is what customers are asking. We give that tool in our Bedrock. Also, what they're asking is that in an enterprise, it's a business workflow which happens, right? So business workflow, how is AI enabled? How can you break something that you do into smaller tasks and then make it AI enabled? So we launched agents, which are, which help you make those tasks, like, fetch my, medical reports. Now, it might have to go to 5 different things and interact with few people. Everything can be made into a multi-step in a chain of thought, which will be given. So how can you make better prompts on LLM? So prompt engineering can be revised. Also, customers are asking for multimodal. The future is all going to be multimodal, which means image, video, text, everything combined in one query, and do you get that answer? That's what they're telling us.
Right. While GenAI brings a lot of opportunities, there's always a need for upskilling to get used to these models and how to even use them.
Yeah.
And AWS has such initiatives. So can you please tell me that why is it so important to upskill at this point? And what are the AWS initiatives for that matter, especially in tier 2, tier 3 cities where AI has not yet reached in the same pace like it has in cities like Bangalore, Gurgaon?
Yeah. So, we keep saying that 2023 was a year of experimentation. 2024 is a year of production for some of our customers. So it's important that you skill yourself up and skill both for business and technical users. Like, for business users, it's important that they choose the right use case. They have to understand Gen AI to choose the right use case. And of course, for technical people to build the AI systems. So we do, we talk a lot about the courses, the AI skilling that needs to be done. In fact, we did a report, an AI skills report, which was for Asia Pacific, but it has a lot of India data points into it, and it said that most of the organizations, they are saying that they are okay to give 54% base pay hike if somebody has AI skills, right? So AI skills are important, and hence we have almost 100 courses which are technical, and they are available on our AWS Skills Builder and AWS Educate. We also have courses for non-technical people, which are free courses, and people can upskill themselves.
Right.
Also in tier 2, tier 3 cities, we have a program called Restart, where people who have other digital skills and they want to convert to cloud skills, or even women who have had break in their career and they were technology people, but they had a break in their career for various reasons. We would like them to come back. So Restart is a program which is available in 15 cities actually, and 15 cities across India, and that helps in getting workforce beyond just the top metros that we see, and they be available for cloud skills and for AI skills.
Right. And through these upskilling initiatives, do you have any numbers or how many people have been impacted?
So we have a plan of having 2 million AI skilled people by 2030, and we have also enabled 5.5 million people in cloud skills till now.
Okay. Going back a little bit, we were talking about how there's significant contribution from India's digital public services goods as well as digital public infrastructure to India's GDP.
Yeah.
So how do you think that AWS is going to contribute in this?
Yeah, so DPI is about you build digital public goods in India, because India, you can test it on population scale, and there are programs on identity, on payments, on sustainability, on mobility, which have been quite successful in India. And there are a lot of countries who are wanting these applications, and those countries do not have it. So India is in a very good position to share their digital successes with others, and sharing them as a tech stack, as a one-click deployment, which can be available on a cloud in their country, in some other country, and then that country is up to them to implement it, manage it. So that's how the DPI and DPG as a concept can go across multiple countries, and we have done a joint innovation center with Ekstep. Ekstep has been working with us on Sunbird, which is a platform. It has an education stack, it has a registry, one-click deployment which we have created with them, that's available on a cloud, and the countries can make it available. It's also available as an open government solution for us. So we get the best practices of multiple governments across the globe and put them in our repository.
Right. So while we have AI and democratizing it, there's again another portion which is about making it responsibly.
Yes.
So what are the ethos and virtues which guide you while building responsible AI solutions, and what are the conversations which you're having with governments in terms of data and data sovereignty? Like there should be no leak and it should be foolproof, honestly. So what would be your take on that?
So I think building responsible AI is a utmost responsibility of trust. It is a trust that we place in our customers. We have built Amazon Bedrock in a manner where we have created guardrails, and guardrails is about creating a toxicity and profanity filters. We have AI service cards, which means that if there is a AI application created, there is a service card which mentions what is it intended for, so that it's not used for something else. So, right? It's very important within the enterprise that one, you put your own toxicity and profanity filters, because something which might be acceptable in one scenario might not be into that. So we give that choice as a tool in hands of the customers and also in developers to build that. One very interesting thing that we have done is that we have created watermark on all the images which get generated by AI. So it's a world of deep fakes, and some disadvantaged community can come to know that there's some image created which you might not like, I might not like, but the metadata shows that it is AI generated, so I can defend it into the court. Even our own Titan models, they can be indemnified by third-party users if there is some wrong data or whatever. You can indemnify in the court. So that's the trust we are placing on responsible AI. We regard it highly, and we know that responsible AI is what is going to make our customers comfortable, happy, and also enable them to launch Gen AI applications.
What excites you the most about generative AI and its potential that is right in front of us in the country?
What excites me most is definitely what it can do for citizen services. I think what it can do for health in education in India is there's a large potential to do that, because it can be a beautiful aid, as well as it can you can reimagine how you can reach. These are two important areas in India where there is a large population, but the number of doctors are less, the number of teachers are less. So how we can provide aid to them, like Bribebooks is an example. We created a Bribo agent which actually helps a child become an author. So it's not doing the work for the child, right? That's what the fear of most of the parents is. It is actually telling that how, based on all the on the authors who've written books. So it gets trained on that, and then it helps become a child write new stories, right? So instead of creating new, just writing, Gen AI gives you are helping a child. So what you can empower to a child, similarly what you can empower to doctors to take better decisions, because the data is so much, right? There is data existing on diseases, on tests, on medicines. So if you can create and bring them together and help the doctor take the right decision, that's significant.
Right. So would you also agree that AI is not going to take your jobs, but AI is just a productivity aid?
AI is definitely a productivity aid, giving insights to us, better user experiences, and more creativity.
Right. So you are one of the very senior leaders in the Indian tech space. And also being a woman, we have seen how there have always been gender disparity issues in the tech system. So what would be your take on that, and how important it is to have women on the board?
Yeah, it's definitely important. As a woman, I can relate to that. The journey is in which you need to have women both at the entry level as well as at senior positions, because we truly believe that a right product can be created when diverse opinions are there, right? You create a right product, you create a right experience, you create right work environments if there are diverse experiences included into it. And women bring a lot of diverse viewpoints which are important for things. So even in our workspace, we have, and I mentioned to you about Project Restart, where we are actually training women, because for them to get into the new technology, we have to help them. We have to get that diverse opinion by offering the training programs, the skill programs, mentorship which we want to do. So there are a lot of programs which we do, like one of our partners, they have agreed to do 1 lakh engineers on AI. Women engineers on AI. They're going to train that. So now it's our partner, we work with them, but it's also how we are ensuring that our ecosystem around us becomes more inclusive. So similarly, we create communities around us, in our partners, in our ecosystem, in our startups, so that diversity and more engineers, it's not just at the start of the journey, but it's also throughout their journey they are supported.
Right. And if you were to describe your leadership style in, say, 3 words, what would they be?
Lead by example.
Right.
3 words done.
Perfect. And moving on to a little fun questions like we just spoke about, right, like how AI is going to boost productivity, creativity, etc. Do you use any AI products in your daily life or have seen the impact of it? Like, which is your favorite one?
And definitely AI has enabled, and the tools which you can use on a daily basis, they always help you. Like I two things which I used like just today morning. One was I had to write a LinkedIn post, and I could rewrite it with AI. I was busy, and it recreated it immediately. And the other was the demo which I did on the keynote stage, where a lab report of a Lal Path Labs was taken in, and it could say that creatinine is high and you should do a kidney function test. So the lab report is giving me so much of information right at the tip of my hand.
Right. Thank you so much for being with us, Shalini. This was a great conversation, and we look forward to your amazing contributions going ahead.
Thank you for having me here. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.